bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum. Hi, friends. Hello, everyone. It is Monday night, and this is what we do every Monday night. We do just this. We talk about homeopathy. So, my name is Joette Calabrese, and every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we've been doing this for years, many years. I never missed a Monday, except when we had technical problems. That's the only time. And it's happened, I think it's, I don't know, a handful of times, 3-4 times over the years that we had technical problems. And so this is what we do. We talk about homeopathy. I teach you what I know. And I like to see that you're helping each other, and that I like to see what you say. And for those of you who do know me, hi, friends. It's great to see you. I see you all coming in. All my old friends. Hi, Harry's got a smile. Hi, Fernicia, or APH celebration. I don't know what you must be talking about, something to someone. Hi, Rona from Ajax. Great name for a town in Ontario. I did have a great Easter. Yeah, it was very nice. So, all right, let's talk. So tonight, well, first of all, I want to know, for those of you who are not commenting, please come in. Tell me where you're from. I love to see where everyone is from. It makes me so, I don't know, it's uplifting. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Susie B. Hi, Elizabeth. These are all my old students, and some new students too. Great to see you all. Fernicia, Irene from Montreal, and let's see where everyone's coming in from. Alrighty, so it's hi from San Diego, says Argia. And near Philly, says Chara. San Diego, wonderful. Virginia, yeah, Michigan, San Antonio, coastal North Carolina, close to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Happy Monday from Illinois, says Carrie. Oh, it's so great. Maryland and cold Vermont and Canada and Florida. Happy Valley, Oregon. Wonderful to see you all, friends. So today I am going to talk about sight, eyes, vision, etc. But I have to tell you, there is one medicine that I find one of the more useful medicines for sight and eye conditions. For deeper eye conditions. And I'm not going to give protocols. I want to give you tonight ideas. I want to give you some points from which you can bounce from to get you going. Oh, Cuenca, Ecuador, says Janet. Wonderful. Nice to see you from Ecuador. Melbourne Beach, Jody. So I'm going to start. I am going to tell you this one medicine that I have a particular fondness for. But when I go to my repertory, and this is Robin Murphy's 4th edition Meta Repertory, and I look under eyes/vision, what I find are pages and pages of conditions and medicines that we can consider for using for those conditions. And that's very helpful. But I also want to step back just a little bit, because I believe that, and I may turn some people off, please excuse me if this does, but I have to be honest in what I know. For many years, since I started to study the Weston Price Foundation's work, Dr. Weston Price's work, actually it was before the Weston Price Foundation. I was a member of the Price Pottinger Foundation back before the Weston Price Foundation began. I learned early on the importance of eating meat and eggs and dairy in certain circumstances and not so in others. So beef, lamb, bison, goat, eggs, butter. And I learned the value of it because I had been vegan And when the reason I was vegan was the same reason most people are vegan, is because we're looking for answers. So for those of you who are still vegan, I welcome you, because we're on the same plane. We just came up with different solutions. However, I think that I've got it right. And it's not me. It's the work of Dr. Weston Price and many others. Dr. Stevenson, I think he was a PhD, Stevenson, and many others. And so I want to point out that I believe that the eyes, as I remember I'm pretty sure it was 5th or 6th grade, we learned that for the eyes, what you should be eating on a regular basis is, anybody know? There were 2 things, but one big one. Let's see if you learned the same thing I did. That you needed to be eating in abundance, not just occasionally, but in abundance. I'm gonna keep it quiet for a moment and see what people come up with. Carrots, yes, carrots. Carrots. Carrots are not. Carrots have to be converted. Fish. Thank you, Fernicia. Fish. And as you know, my friends, we have to worry about fish these days because protein, animal protein, cod liver oil. Yes, that's right. I don't think it's carrots. I'm sorry. I mean, eggs, liver, butter. Yes, those foods that are high in vitamin D. Carrots are not high in vitamin D. I don't know that they have any. Liver, and cod liver oil. Absolutely. Yes. Meat and fish. Absolutely. And so, and liver. And so liver was cod liver, especially. Cod liver oil, cod liver itself. I actually learned that in public school in 1964. That's how long ago that was. And they actually taught real stuff back then. So I have to say that is a consideration. Butter. Yes, butter. Carrots, I'm sorry, I don't think the carrots have got what you need. Animal fats, that's right. Okay, so I'm just reading some of the comments. It's really fun to read everyone's comments. It's so much fun. I love being here with you. So I have to say that given the amount of fruits that we've been told to eat for so long, eat your fruits and vegetables. Eat your fruit. You cannot have your meat until you eat your fruits and vegetables. No, you can't. Not until you eat your vegetables. Not until you eat your fruit. And I'm here to tell you that because of what I've learned through the years, on and off, because I made lots of mistakes myself, I have gone almost, not 100%, but pretty darn close to 100% carnivore. My husband and I have. And we've been doing this on and off with our children as well. But I would say it was more meat focused. And so that we had a lot of meat, a lot of eggs. We had chickens. We bought raw milk, cream, and butter from down the road when we were out in the country. I made my own butter. And I made sure that we were eating a lot of animal fats and animal products. So that is something that I think is missing dramatically in people's lives. Because along with all of that, I also embrace the idea of whole grains. So I bought my own grain mill and I ground my grains and I made my own bread, even sourdough bread. And I thought that was great. And it's not awful, but it's certainly better than store-bought bread, no doubt about that. But I have to say that I think I did not emphasize enough of really focusing on animal products. Listen, I know how a lot of people feel about animals. I love animals. Love dogs. Like cats. Don't love cats. Like cats. Love birds, loved having chickens. We had goats, loved them. That's a big part of anyone who has a heart loves animals. But we also have to face facts that this is a world where it's not as clean and simple and lovely as we might think. So I've made a point of eating meat that comes from a respectable, responsible farmer so that I know that the animals have lived a good life. And they have been taken care of all along. They're being fed real food. Now, when it comes to sight and the eyes, we also know that cataracts, which is one of the most common conditions for people my age and a little older, is related to blood sugar problems. Well, where do blood sugar problems come from? From not eating enough animal protein, animal fats, and instead using our meals to fill up with bagels and croissants and grilled cheese sandwiches and pasta and you name it, all the carbs, oatmeal for breakfast. And the more that I read about blood sugar problems, and I'm reading and studying it on a regular basis because I believe that I have a problem, or I have had. I believe I may have licked it, not 100%, but pretty darn close. Lots of people in my family have had diabetes, and I'm going to work very hard at getting this down. Yeah, music to my ears, eat more meat. In fact, I eat pretty much only meat and eggs, some cheese. I make L. reuteri fermented bacteria-laden dairy. And so this is the diet that I think can make a difference for many people, even late in life. So I want to start with that. Cataracts are concomitant with blood sugar problems. Cataracts are concomitant with diabetes, prediabetes in general. So let's just talk about that. So, or let's start with that is what I mean to say. How do our European friends do it, even with their super good bread? Well, first of all, I think they walk a lot. We drive everywhere. But how do the European friends do it? They eat a lot of butter. They eat a lot of pate, liver pate. They eat a lot of pork. They eat a lot of meat. They're not ashamed to eat meat. You go to Germany, they eat sausages. Go to Spain, and it's ham. Ham, and fish. Italy, it's pepperoni. It's sausages. It's a ham. It's a pork sausages. That's what they live on, and they are not ashamed of it. It is in many ways a uniquely American thing, North American thing, to eschew meat. Alrighty. So yeah, cereal and orange juice for breakfast are a horrible combination. Sugar on steroids, absolutely. Gluten, all oils, fake and fried. Yes, oils. Oh, that's a given. The oils that are used to make mayonnaise, the oils that are French fries when you go to a restaurant, oils on salad dressings. There's no doubt it's also the oils that are used, whether they call them olive oil or not. I'm sorry, I don't buy that most restaurants even carry true olive oil. So that's why more often than not we eat at home, and when we eat out, we eat at a place that we completely trust, or we don't get the salad with the salad dressing. I ask for salad. If I get any salad, and I've done that many years ago, I don't get salad anymore, but when I did, I would ask for just lemon juice, and I would just squeeze that on. So it is sad but true, absolutely. So let me just talk about a couple of medicines for a couple of conditions, homeopathic medicines. In spite of the diet, listen, if we have a problem with our sight, that would be really a good reason to change the diet. I think there are a lot of people who can get away with eating just about anything, but they're hopefully not suffering yet. But if they have any condition, whether it's sight or it's joints or it's gut or it's skin or it's psychological, emotional, it matters not, hormonal. If we have problems, now we should be looking at what we're putting into our mouths on a day-to-day basis. I think it's just logical. It's intelligent. It's let's think this through kind of thinking. If you're suffering from poverty, then you might want to assess, why am I suffering? Why am I so poor? Maybe I need a different job. Maybe I need different skills. If I'm suffering from bad relationships, I have to rethink it and say, why am I suffering? Maybe I need to rethink who I'm spending my time with, who I'm allowing to impress upon my life. And so this is an impression on our lives. What we eat on a day-to-day basis matters more than anything. So, all right, let's put that aside and know that that is a very good place to start. So, one of the top medicines that I'm going to go to second level medicines, because I'll go to the first one in a little while. One of the top medicines for sight and for eyes is euphrasia. Now, it often has to do with itching and watering and swelling around the eyes, not the eyeball itself, but around the eyes, is euphrasia. It's also incredible for conjunctivitis. So the conjunctiva is the lid, the lower, the rim of the eye. It's great for conjunctivitis. So it's itis, which is inflammation of the conjunctiva. And so I want you to think of euphrasia, especially euphrasia for acute conditions, not necessarily for chronic. So euphrasia, I use it in a 30th potency. I've used it in a 200 potency. Then another one that I think is so fascinating is overexertion of the eyes. And I get that because I'm in front of two screens all day long, almost all day long, teaching, seeing clients, but mostly teaching these days. And in the old books, we found that this medicine, Ruta, R-U-T-A, graveolens, is an excellent medicine for overuse of the eyes. And we find in the old books, many times they gave it to women who did small needlework, really tiny, and they had small stitches, and they were doing needlework all day long, and then by candlelight at night. So they were still working at night. Not unlike us. Here it is, it's dark, and we're in front of these fake lights. They were not in front of a fake light. They were in front of a candlelight, which is much better. But then we have the medicine, Ruta graveolens, for overexertion and achiness and feeling like the capacity of the sight is not as great as a result of having overexerted them. So Ruta, I like that in a 30. I've used it in a 200 too, but I like it in a 30. I also like Nux vomica for overuse of the eyes, particularly if we can say that there's overuse of the eyes and the person has overindulged in something. Maybe they've had wine, or maybe they smoke cigarettes, or they smoke weed, or something like where they've overindulged in some kind of substance, or they're taking drugs. Whether they're prescription or street drugs, they're using drugs. And many people think, well, I don't take drugs, but then, well, wait a minute, hold on. I'm taking 4 blood pressure drugs, and I'm taking 1 drug for that anxiety that I have at night, etc. And they add up, friends. These drugs that we take add up. Okay. Cataracts. My big notes here say consider blood sugar. I think it's key. I think it's very, very important that if there are cataracts developing, you want to look at what your blood sugar is. And so you go get, if you want to go to your doctor, get an A1C. What I'd like even better than that is getting a serum test where they take your blood. I guess they take the blood from here. It's not a finger prick. That's something you can do at home. They take your blood and then and they analyze that and tell you what your blood sugar is at that moment in time. So it's the serum test for blood sugar. That I think is the Cadillac. A1C is secondary, but you can also test it yourself. You can test your blood, of course, every morning with a finger prick. You can also check your ketones to see how high your ketones are, because they need to be high, not too low, because that means you're eating foods that are carbohydrates or sugars. And so the main medicine we think of for cataracts is calc carb. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do it. I'm going to tell you that calc carb is specific not just for cataracts and a couple of other eye conditions, but specifically for weight gain, for having too much weight, especially in the middle. It's a problem. And it's when you look at combination medicines, and they do exist, I think OHM might carry one. I know that other pharmacies, good manufacturing pharmacies from Germany, often sell products for weight loss. Calc carb is often in that. It's a low potency. It's usually a 6 or 12, and it's in that combination because it has a lot to do with blood sugar and gaining weight, especially gaining weight around the middle. Okay. I also want to dry eyes. Dry eyes. Some of I'm going to go to page 768 in the repertory, and we have dryness of the eyes. We have many, many remedies from which to consider, from which to choose. And dry eyes, one of our best medicines is often Natmur. Now, I don't want you, my friends, to just say, okay, I'll take it. No, no, no. I want you to go to your Materia Medica. If you don't own one, we've talked about it before. I'm happy to mention it again. I have a Materia Medica if you want to purchase mine from Joette's Learning Center. But there are more extensive Materia Medicas that you can find online. And if I know my friends are going to start bringing them up, I know that you'll start doing that. Yeah, I don't want to miss this because Janine came up with something important too. It's Dr. Fatak, Phatak, and let's see if anybody else is. Phoenicia, you're right here. I know you're going to come up with them. And these are the free Materia Medicas online. Dr. James Tyler Kent's Materia Medica is free online. You just Google it in there, and it pops up. It's in a PDF. I believe it's a PDF. And then you can just read it. It's so wonderful. So you've got all those accesses to Materia Medicas. Dr. Boricke, Boericke, free online Materia Medicas. So what I'm saying to you is I want you to listen to what I'm talking about tonight. Get some information, get some ideas. Go to these Materia Medicas and look them up and see what you can find. So calcarb is a sweeping medicine for eyes. It has a lot of conditions, but particularly cataracts. So in dryness, on page 768 in our repertory, Natmur is one of the medicines. I would not start it in a high potency unless you could really justify it because you've had enough interest, enough backup in an understanding homeopathy. And then we also have floaters on page 712. So take a look at that. I love that you're all helping each other. This is great. Similacin is a great medicine that's made. Somebody brought that up. I want to find that again. That I think Boron makes. Yes. Yeah, I have Similacin. Yep. Good. Also for excessive lacrimation can also be euphrasia. So eyes that tear. Eyes that water in the cold wind. Eyes that water just because they're watering, because maybe something we have been eating is inflaming our system. What we eat is very, very important. Okay, it is now 8:23, and I'm going to tell you my top medicine for one of the most important medicines that I believe for sight and the eyes is Argentum nitricum. Now, it doesn't mean that you go, oh, I've got eye problems, I have glaucoma, I have these problems, I'll take Argentum nitricum. I don't want you to go to that. I don't want you to jump like that because homeopathy is complex, so is the human body, and I want you to be thinking about reading it extensively. I happen to have the Concordant Materia Medica by Franz Vermeulen right here. And this is what I have in front of me for Argentum nitricum. There's a quite large section on eyes and sight, and I think that what he reports here on what Argentum nitricum is capable of approaching is small. I think it can do even more than that, even more than what he's reporting in his concordant. Excuse me. All righty. Let's see. Yeah, Susie B says, thank you for saying, for jotting these down for me, because I know when I say them, it's hard for those people who don't know the names of the medicines to get them. It's all, it's because it's Latin, of course. Phoenicia says, I love Franz Vermeulen. Yeah, it's a great book. It's pretty extensive. Okay, macular degeneration. I'm going to tell you that is one of the big ones I believe has a lot to do with blood sugar. You look at the person's diet who has macular degeneration, and you're going to see that they eat oatmeal for breakfast, or they have a bagel, and then lunch is a sandwich, and then dinner might be pasta. They might have a lamb chop for dinner, but then it's with mashed potatoes, and then there might be a roll, and then after dinner there might be a cookie or two. So I'm going to tell you, although we have homeopathic medicines specifically for macular degeneration, and I've worked with clients and I have seen great results. Argentum nitricum is one of the medicines that I've considered for it and have used and have had great results. It does not mean that that is exactly the medicine for you, however. It is one of the great ones. But I'm going to tell you, my friends, check the diet. And it takes a shift in thinking. It took a big shift in my thinking. For the longest time, I thought, well, what could be the problem for me? Except that I was gaining weight and I was eating what I considered well. But I have to tell you, friends, everyone thinks they eat well. Everyone said, oh no, I have a good diet. Everybody thinks that. I don't care what they eat. That is the mantra that we all think. Because most people are not going to say, oh, I eat terribly. You don't hear that very often. At least not around learned people. Let's see. Let me get some of these. Do you have any thoughts on all of these children, including my own, with lazy eye? With lazy eye, this is what I've seen. There are medicines for lazy eye, and I have used them. But I also find, and it depends on the age of the child, babies often have what looks like a lazy eye, and they just grow out of it. It's just, it is like kind of a laziness to a certain degree of the tendons that are moving the eyes around and muscles behind the eyes. So it is something that you might want to wait a little longer for. If it turns out that now this is a 10-year-old child, I think you're probably noticing that the lazy eye shows up more readily when the child is tired or not feeling well. They have a cold or something. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Let's see. Glaucoma, too. Glaucoma is something else that I consider Argentum nitricum for, but I'm not going to tell you that you should be using Argentum nitricum for glaucoma. I'm just telling you it's one of the big medicines that I consider. And I have worked with people with glaucoma and I've seen complete resolution and I've seen partial resolution. So, and I've seen no resolution. So I've seen the whole gamut. And there's nothing different about that than just about any other chronic condition, friends. It is so interesting when we look at the scope of human suffering and applying homeopathy to it. We can see, oh my gosh, that was downright miraculous. Or we say, yeah, look at that. My eyes are better. Not 100%, not completely. And it looks like it's no longer progressing. It looks like we've halted the progression. And my eyes are improved. Not perfect, but they're improved. And then others where we don't see any change at all. Now, when I see no change at all, my friends, I don't give up. I keep going. I keep working on it. As long as someone wants me to work with them, I will work till the bitter end. All righty. So it's 8:28. Perry's coming in. Yeah. I've got a very, very large group tonight. I've got 75 students coming in with the Gateway group tonight. But first I'll be meeting with my mighties. All right. Yeah, so floaters. There is no specific medicine that I'm going to tell you for floaters. Page 712, and I'll take a look at it. Floaters, page 712 on the bottom. They'll look to me like about 70 remedies from which to choose. So, it is, Argentum nitricum is there. It's not one of the most prominent medicines. There are other medicines that are more prominent. Natmur is big there in that rubric. Cocculus, China. These are all very sulfur, phosphorus. So it's not one specific medicine. I'm especially not doing that tonight. I want to be sure that people are starting to really look at what they can do on their own. My focus, my friends, is to teach you. I need proteges. What can I say? I need people to take after me. I will not be here forever. I want you to learn how to do this. And I want to teach you how to fish, not to hand you the fish. And I recognize that sometimes it's so valuable. I already talked about cataracts and intraocular eye pressure, absolutely. That's all that we can talk about all these medicines for that as well. I'm sorry to be vague tonight, but I'm trying to stimulate in you the idea for those who are new, in fact, I'd love to hear that you are, if you are new, what you have what you have gleaned from coming here. And yes, Leanne says, I have a blog on floaters. Yes, you can go to Joette Calabrese Floaters. You can go to Joette Calabrese for any of these conditions, and I've written about a lot of them. So you'll find more specifics there, but I want to instill in you the desire to learn how to find these medicines, how to determine whether or not it's appropriate for you, and then determine, well, potencies are easy. Generally, we use 30s or 200s. Pretty much that's it. I mean, I use 6s here and there. I use 1Ms once in a while. But generally speaking, I use 30s and 200s. So, and I repeat. I repeat medicines. I don't give it once and then wait and then perhaps watch an aggravation ensue. No, I repeat. Because if we repeat the medicine, we don't get an aggravation, generally. That's generally the way it works. For those who are new to homeopathy, it might fly in the face of what's logical, but on repeating the medicine daily or every 3 days, etc., if once we have a repetition going, we've got a pattern from which we can draw from, then we can see that there are no aggravations, and repetition is usually needed when it comes to a chronic condition. Autonomy is the goal. Yes, Leanne, thank you. Yes. Yeah, euphrasia can be used for dry eyes as well. But euphrasia is really great for especially those acute conditions or the kind of the outward conditions. The watering, the itching, the lids are swollen, conjunctivitis, all of those. Euphrasia is great for that. Great for hay fever and reactions to hay fever around the eyes. Okay. Can macular degeneration be reversed with the protocol, including carnivore diet? Well, as I just said, I've seen it go to the one way where you use a homeopathic medicine and you say, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Or I've also seen, it's gone. I don't have it anymore. My ophthalmologist, my optometrist too, have all noticed, look, I don't have it any longer. Or I've also seen where it goes to only a certain level and can't go any further. Or it doesn't go any further. Maybe it can, but it doesn't, at least under my tutelage. And then I've also seen where I've not seen the kind of results that I would love to see. And that is, my friends, that's the whole story of homeopathy in general. That is the way it works. Sometimes we see it take it all the way to the end. Sometimes it's only partially. Sometimes it's barely anything. Sometimes it's nothing. And when it's nothing, then we don't give up. Don't assume, oh, well, it can't be done. No, you keep going. You keep digging. You might be surprised what you might unearth as you keep studying and reach deeper. So if you're not part of a Gateway study group, I urge you to do that. If you've already been in one, go in another one. Join another Gateway study group. You can never learn too much. Or go to one of my courses. They're more expensive, but if you want to stay in the area of not spending much money, it's all free here. It's all free on my blog. 14 years of my blog. This information is there for you to use for yourself and your families. And so I will leave you with that, and we're going to go right to Mighty's, right, Perry?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me when we're ready.
Smile.